it's definitely Honey Singh's very, very colorful life.
If there are any revelations that you had while making this film,
I am here to document the truth.
I have to say there's nothing like this ever done, where a celebrity has bared it all.
he was just talking from a different space.
Yeah.
A space.
What was he talking about? I'm just curious to know.
He was just talking about the fact that he's seen it all.
He knows how to call out his own bullshit. In the movie, I'm not going to tell you anything more than what I'm going to say. There is the most spectacular moment with a super fan and blue eyes.
Just to fill me, just to fill me.
It's the Honey Singh doco. I know you're really excited to watch it. It's going to drop on Netflix before the year runs out. But before that, of course, let me speak to the people who made it happen, literally. Woman who's been making things happen since, I don't know, the day she was born, Guneet Monga. Like, amazing. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Rohini.
And Mozez, the director of the doco. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
I'm going to start off by saying, what a coup of an idea. I mean, there is no, इसमें तो कोई दो राय नहीं है
Correct.
कि हनी सिंह की जिंदगी पर एक दास्तान बननी चाहिए. But how did it work? Did he come to you? You went to him? Was there convincing? We're here for the story, Guneet.
Actually, Netflix spoke to Honey and got the rights. And then Netflix came to us as filmmakers, Mozez and Sikya. And that's how it happened. So, इतना बड़ा दास्तान नहीं है उसके पीछे. But I agree for all of us to come on board and be excited about it. It's definitely Honey Singh's very, very colorful life.
Correct.
And what a star he is and what a life he's lived. So that was very exciting for us to be on board.
I'm so glad it's you and you telling his story.
Thank
because
you.
it's very important when you're approaching the subject of a documentary that you approach it with humanity. And Honey Singh might be, for many reasons, a very polarizing figure. Most of it that he claims is his own doing. And so it's so easy to judge your subject. How did you navigate that, Mozez? Did you judge him at all ever?
You know, the thing is, I had to throw all judgment out of the room.
Yes.
I had to make sure that, because if I started to judge him, I would have completely colored the lens that I was going to make the film within, and it would have been a very lopsided film, I feel. So I had to throw all judgment out of the room, and I had to tell myself at every given moment that I was with him that I am here to document the truth, right? And the truth could be a beautiful truth, or it could be an ugly truth, or it could be a calm truth, or it could be a controversial truth, but it is the truth. And in order for me to get to the truth, I cannot take anybody's side, right? And Honey realized that. Honey realized that I am not here to throw him under the bus. Neither am I going to sit here and lionize him and make him become like, I don't know, whatever, if it's not required. Of course, he's had monumental success. He's had an incredible number of hits. All of that has to be shown. His glory has to be shown as much as his pain, right? So it was very important to tread that line. And it was a very fine balance that I had to tread the whole time that I was on this film, and not once lose my sight of the fact that I cannot go this way or that way. I just have to completely be balanced. I have to be in the middle, and I have to tell the truth. And I had incredible producers who supported that. I had an incredible editor who brought that to life. And of course, Netflix was great. So I think we've achieved that. I think we've made a very honest and balanced film. I really feel that.
Amazing. I can't wait to see it. But I'm so curious how you can't tell the truth unless you're allowed to and you have their permission. And the subject, of course, decides that. Guneet, how does one make that happen? How does one build the trust? Do you remember a conversation where you had to reach out and literally put your word on the line? Because it's not about who's making this film, from a bigger perspective. It's people. So how do you do that then as a producer?
I think I have to say there's nothing like this ever done, where a celebrity has bared it all, where a celebrity of that stature is ready to talk about everything, accept, figure, rewire, reprogram. But it was a very heart-to-heart conversation when we started. We met him. I know him from a very long time ago, from 2012. during I think monsoon shootout in Gangs of Wasipur. Those days I'd met him in Aramnagar. So he was starting out and I was listening to his ideas of how he wants to make his videos. तो हम बहुत पहले से एक दूसरे को जानते हैं. बिल्कुल काफ़ी बात किया है. But this is very different. You know,
Yeah.
this was permission into his life.
Yes.
And this was a journey that we've been on for 3 years. To his friends, his family, to all the counter conversations. And it was a very honest conversation कि ये हमें करना है and we are going to be on this journey together.
Together, yeah.
Somewhere, yes, he was ready for it. But also to the expanse and the truth and the depths that this will go to would always be like, अच्छा अब तुम्हें ये भी ये भी बात कर.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it was very important for both Moses and I to be able to be honest with our research, to be able to be honest with what we were on
Yeah,
a
trying
journey
to
on.
do, of
And what we
course.
were on a journey on. And he understood that. He totally understood that and respected and loved us as filmmakers. And he totally understood that we will be persistent and have our way in telling his story. And it's been a beautiful partnership.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's really
You know,
good
the
to know.
thing is, it takes time to build trust with the person that you're shooting with,
Yes.
right? And it's all very well and good that the person wants to talk about everything, but when the filmmaker is actually standing there with the camera and putting it in your face and being like, okay, now I want to talk to you about this and I want to talk to you about that. And I promise you, today, 3 years later, Honey, I have been witness to every side of Honey. Like, I have seen all sides to him, and that has only happened because of trust, right? And that is a huge validation for me, for us as filmmakers, that he's trusted us and that he's allowed us to dig deep, probe into his life, ask him all kinds of crazy things, ask people connected to him all kinds of crazy things, and manage to get everything that we wanted to. That is a huge pat on the back for me, at least. Because the
100%.
thing is, he trusted me,
Yeah.
right? He trusted us.
Yeah.
And he allowed us that access. So what it has given us is a very humane, a very deep, and a very revelatory film about a giant pop star,
True.
right?
Absolutely.
Which we've not seen in this country till now, something like that, something that honest.
I'm so
bare.
curious. Now I'm like I'm here, but I'm more excited because I do want to ask you if there are any revelations that you had while making this film, not from a what's in the doco perspective, but more from a, oh wow, you know, this is something that changed my life a little bit as well, because that process can have that impact.
You know, fame has its own pluses and minuses. An insane amount of fame that comes to you suddenly, and everything you touch turns into gold.
Yeah.
You know, back to back, and you know, everybody. And we're in a very transactional industry.
Yeah.
You know, you can also be relevant and you can also be gone. And I think in a very short span, Honey has seen a spectrum of life. He's been on both the spectrums, you know. His resilience is something that I marvel. I'm in awe of that resilience. And the revelation for me was the extent of his mental health breakdown. I think we don't talk about mental health enough. We don't talk about what it happens when you've achieved. दुनिया पा ली, achieve कर लिया, पैसा आ गया, सपने पूरे हो रहे हैं, and you get lost
Yeah.
in that world. And it is not something that is in your control. And we know Honey as this powerful, fearless person. You know, he's like you said, you know, he's done a lot, created a lot, you know, been through controversies, everything, but he's, you know, been fearless. And then you have to be fearful of, you know, of the unknown.
What's the impact of telling that story?
Yes, but also living with that mental health situation and not knowing that this darkness will ever end. And what is it that you can do? You know, you have to just surrender to a complete breakdown and be able to gain weight, you know, not look like the way you're looking. And this, you're talking about a rock star, you know, who's on stage, who's on camera, who's with, you know, who's on videos, who's dancing, you know, and to go on that spectrum and then step by step, one day at a time, build himself back 2-3 days ago that we were, we saw him at the AP Dhillon concert do that entry.
Yeah.
Mozez was there, and how Mozez describes it was like the whole arena shook. But having been on this journey with 3 years with him, I take back resilience, and I take back that huge revelation of mental health and the extent of that.
Amazing.
What he went through.
I would love to talk to him again, because I remember speaking to him, I think 2 years ago. So he was probably on this journey with you guys, and I saw a very different man. And I think that was very revelatory for me sitting with him,
Yeah.
because he was just talking from a different space.
Yeah.
A space.
What was he talking about? I'm just curious to know. Like
He
2
was
years ago.
just talking about the fact that he's seen it all. And when you've seen it all, there's nothing that phases you.
It's a very spiritual journey that we've had with him.
You know the thing is, the thing with Honey is that one of the most interesting things about him, of course, his resilience and his never say die spirit and his ability, his power to go back and all that stuff. But one of the most beautiful qualities about him is that he sees himself as it is. Right, and he's not deluding himself into believing that he's someone else or whatever it is. He's very honest with himself, right? He knows what his pluses and what his minuses are. He doesn't think he's only pluses, right? He doesn't think that. He's very, very real with himself, and I think that is something very special about him, because he knows how to call out his own bullshit.
Wow. A
Right?
self-aware pop star.
Yeah.
Like,
He's-
who would have thought?
And
That's amazing.
this self-awareness in him has come because of the journey that he's gone through.
Correct.
It was not there before. It was not there in the first chapter of his life. It was not there when he was blowing up and becoming hugely famous and all the hit songs were happening and everybody wanted a piece of YoYo Honey Singh. This has happened after he has gone through the downfall and the spirals and all of that stuff and realized his own worth as a person, right? And it is very special, and he has managed to give his own life a very rich texture, which perhaps was lacking before.
Amazing.
And we've managed to capture it in the film.
I'm so glad you have. And I really want to ask you, because Mozez, you had a little bit of experience in telling stories about music, with the Sunburn doco, I remember. So
oh God, that too, I forgot about
And
that.
Zubaan.
you only forgot about it.
I forgot about it.
Zubaan, of course, but
Yeah.
particularly, of course, Sunburn, because that was something that is
That
close.
was so crazy.
It was
It was
great.
such a crazy film, my
Yeah.
God.
But I remember watching it because it's a festival that literally is of my time, right?
Yeah.
So I know the challenges that there are to actually even put something out there that it almost felt like we were there, and that was the compliment that I remember.
Thank you.
Like talking about
Thank
that
you.
festival. But I want to ask you, Guneet, is that the reason why you chose Mozez to tell this story? Because there's a bit of experience when it comes to music or storytelling, or is it because of something else?
So, Mozez actually has a very, very special bond with music, in his core of storytelling.
Yes.
And it started from Zubaan. It started from actually Zubaan, through music, a person finding himself and that journey, the ups and downs of life, seeing the fame and being transactional and then seeing the crash and then having a spiritual awakening. And somewhere that was Mozez's first film that I was producer on. And this actually project was initiated by Netflix.
Correct.
And in our conversations of directors at that time, the executive was Raghav Khanna. I think Mozez was the top name, and Mozez was the only director that we could all go to in terms of somebody who marries music,
Yeah.
understands
Yeah.
Punjabi music, and is a brilliant storyteller. I know all that is correct, and all that is, a very is check in the box, But I know Mozez much more deeply and personally because it's been a decade long of a
journey,
friendship,
yeah.
more than a decade long of friendship, and 3-4 projects together, everything that we've done together. So knowing each other deeply, I just know that his superpower is in building trust. At his absolute Mozez's superpower, that he's just somebody who can strike one of the most brilliant conversations with anybody, from any social sector, from any gender, from any profession, in a nightclub, in a gurdwara.
That's true.
And in a gurdwara.
I agree.
Mozez
God,
has
thank you.
I agree.
Mozez has a spectrum of conversation which is deeply spiritual and can be a complete nightclub conversation.
Yeah.
You know, and the whole.
so true.
So for me, I was 110% sure. You know, I was knowing him personally. I was just like, if there's somebody who will build trust and go deeper, and this will not be a job. This will not be, you know, an assignment that you're on. This will be. I know Mozez. He's one of the most hardworking directors I know, and this is not because he's sitting here. He's classic type A, extra hardworking, and I know that if you give Mozez something, it'll become his life. It'll become his life's mission, and everybody around him, and he'll drive himself crazy and everybody around him to be able to do this in the best way.
Correct.
So that level of obsession, and in a documentary,
Yeah.
and that level of spectrum of conversation with a personality and a celebrity like Honey was marriage made in heaven as a producer.
Thank you, my God. Thank you. I'm so overwhelmed. Thank you.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
important because, you know, the horses for courses, right? And maybe, I don't know if too many people have seen, you know, all of the work you've done before.
Yeah.
But this is definitely something that's going to be talked about.
I hope so.
Mozez Singh, you know, the Honey Singh director.
Yeah.
And
The
it's
two
going to be...
Sardars, well, you know,
All
well,
Sardars.
she's
Sikhya.
also Sikhya. I mean, my nickname from home is Bunny, so we were always calling ourselves Honey Bunny the
Honey
whole time we were shooting. It was
Bunny.
really funny. It was, oh God, that was just turned into a little rhyme.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, yeah, so it was, I have to say one thing that, you know, Zubaan has been like a real a prize for me because Netflix saw Zubaan. They liked the way that I worked with music,
Yes.
right? And though it's a fiction film, they offered me a documentary, and it came because of that. So I'm so grateful for it, and it just continues to like just keep on giving even after all these years. And we've all been a part of that, and now we're all doing this together. And it's our second film about music, and it's a second film
Yes.
about a musician. I mean,
Yeah.
fiction, non-fiction, but whatever. We've covered all the
territories,
there's
No, but I think also doco, right? Like as a format, like Queen of, like thank you, giving it its due. And I just think that the combo is so intoxicating
Yeah.
because here we are all like, hame janna hai. you
And
know?
it's real.
It's real, and also as an audience, we are dying to know. You
Yeah.
know, so what I'm most excited about as an audience first is to know, if I get a chance to know about Honey Singh's life, I would
Yeah.
take that chance.
Yeah.
You know, we are more privileged because as makers and as journalists, we get that access. But I think for fans, they are going to have a blast because they say, the good thing is they'll probably see him in a human way, thanks to the two of you. And that's what I'm looking forward to the most because he's been around the block a little bit and he's had a rough ride. So I look
Yeah.
forward to that. But we can't end without asking each of you what your favorite Honey Singh songs are, because they're a part of the lexicon. It's been like a
Yeah.
decade and more. You haven't not danced to a Honey Singh song. And did you get a chance to talk to him about any of that music? And is there a story behind a song that you might want to perhaps share with us?
Many. But I like Angrezi beat a lot. I like Brown Rung a lot. But there were days, you know, my story with him is that when I was trying to figure out how to release Monsoon Shootout, because I've made so many independent films, I reached out to him for a song, and I was like, if you give a song, to meri picture release ho jayegi. That's how our friendship even started.
Oh my God.
You know, and he was very, very kind about it, and he gave us Kundi Khadka Ke wala
Yeah.
Gana in literally a week of me meeting him. And then 2-3 years later also, when the film could not release, that song did go to another film, and that was fine. But he was just like, chalo karte hain, you know. So, and that is how I go back 2012 with it.
Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you for that story. Mozez?
It's very difficult for me to say which is my favorite Honey Singh song because right now, like these days, I'm tripping on Payal, which I
Yeah.
absolutely am obsessed with. I
I
can't
love
stop.
Millionaire also.
I love Millionaire. I love Kala Star from the previous album. So there are a lot of new songs that I love. But if I was to really, really think about which song I love of his, I think it would be Blue Eyes. And I also want to say something that in the movie, I'm not going to tell you anything more than what I'm going to say. There is the most spectacular moment with a super fan and blue eyes.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. It's one of my most special sequences that I shot because we never saw it coming. And then when it happened, it was like gold.
It's gold, yeah.
It was like gold.
Of course.
So
The joy of documentaries.
I
yeah,
was
it
just
was
gonna
just,
say,
it
yeah,
was just,
yeah.
it was
You
just
can-
one
you
of the
wait for
most
life to
special
surprise
things that
you.
I've shot.
Amazing.
And it's there.
It's there?
Yeah, it's there. You'll watch it.
When are you dropping this Netflix?
20th December.
Yeah,
20th December, 1:30 p.m.
Can't
It's
wait.
dropping.
I absolutely can't wait. Thank you for telling
Thank
us
you,
the story. And it's always a pleasure talking to you all.
Thank you
and,
so much.
Looking forward to your next.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We really-
Thank you.
Just to fill me, just to fill me.